Shout out here on Thursday in Honolulu, Hawaii. I want to jump on real quick. We weren't able to do a live yesterday because my brother just came into town and was very much engaged in taking care of his needs, wants, and desires. So there's a really interesting conversation that my brother and I had last night that went on for about 8 hours. Not 8 minutes, not 80 minutes, but went on for 8 hours straight. We talked till about 1:30 in the morning. And as we were engaging in this conversation, I realized I hadn't had dinner and I've just been drinking coconut water. And I can't believe we just did 8.5 hours or a little over 8 hours. And you're like, well, what's the big deal? What were you guys talking about? What was the, rapturing subject matter that was so entertaining and enthralling you couldn't pull yourself away? Well, it was actually connected to the work that I do and how the work has helped him since the last time he visited me about 2.5 years ago when I first moved to Honolulu, Hawaii. And the work that I do, for those who not know, for the past 20 years, I've been a professional energy healer, meditation teacher, and I've worked one-on-one doing thousands of healings, teaching thousands of people how to meditate. And it's really my dharma. It's the most exciting, fulfilling thing that I have done and continue to do in my life, of connecting to my higher soul and helping people and inspiring other people to connect to their higher souls. And I owe all the credit to my teacher, Grandmaster Cho Koksui, the modern founder of Pranic healing and Arhatic yoga. And so why were we investing so much time in a conversation? Well, so when my brother came out here 2.5 years ago, he was in a rough spot. He had a lot of things going on in his life, and really not one single area of his life was working out well for him. And the other interesting thing is, he hasn't come and visited me anywhere in probably about 20 years. So my brother and I have not spent time with each other, prolonged time with each other, for more than a day to 2 days for about 20 years. So his perception of his little brother, I'm the youngest brother, there's two older brothers, he's the oldest, we have a middle brother, and then I'm the youngest by 10 years, right? And so he had the perception, and there was so much meat that we covered in yesterday's talk. But the first talk we had 2.5 years ago is that he had a perception that his little brother was still the ungrounded, unstable, emotionally crazy, off the wall teen and 20-something-year-old that was trying to find himself, that he was always on some kind of mission somewhere in the country, taking some workshop, some class, meeting with some guru, taking some healing course or something like that. And I wasn't able to really produce results at that time in my life because I was learning an entirely different trade that I'd never really had exposure to in this lifetime, right? So I was learning about Reiki, I was learning about TM or Transcendental Meditation, I was learning about Ayurvedic practices, I was learning about personal training. I got some certifications here and there in spinning, nutrition, personal training, but I was in the process of mastering my craft, right? And so it was really, really intense to do this talk with my brother 2.5 years ago, because I had to demonstrate to him that the little brother that you knew, who was ungrounded, unstable, unpredictable 20 plus years ago, is dead. That little brother doesn't exist anymore. So the man that's sitting in front of you is someone who has lived a lot of life, had a lot of experiences, become masterful at his craft as an energy healer, a meditation teacher, right? And, well, he goes, after about maybe the first day of him being here, and last time he was here, he stayed with me for about 2 weeks, 16 days, and he realized, you're not the kid that I once knew, right? And again, I'm not taking this from a viewpoint of pride, because I had to do a tremendous amount of work, and 20 years is a long time to do inner work. So most anybody, hopefully, is going to be a different person in 20 years. But at the same time, it's because of the teachings of my teacher, Grandmaster Cho Koksui, because he polished the diamond that I became, right? Through his teachings, through his healings, through his blessings, through his senior practitioners that I would work with around the country all year long. And so I owe everything to my teacher. Yes, I did practice some discernment, and yes, I did follow the simple instructions to become the person that I became. But it was a really kind of surreal moment between my brother and I, because he was looking at me like I was a stranger, and then I was looking at him like he was a stranger, because in the sense that in the 20 years that he had been living life, not much had changed for him, right? There was a lot of suffering, there was a lot of pain in all the different areas of his life, like I mentioned earlier. So he wasn't able to move forward. So I thought to myself, okay, well, for the past 20 years, I've specialized in helping people move forward. But then the question is, can you help family move forward? Kanobai, namaste. Can you help family move forward, right? That's the question. Because people go, well, right, if I'm not mistaken, I don't know what part of the ethic code this is, but if I'm not mistaken, if you are a doctor, you can't perform surgeries on relatives. If I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section below, because it's too close to home, right? There's less objectivity and there's too much subjectivity, and you're not able to see the situation clearly. But the interesting thing of being a pranic healer or energy healer for the past 20 years, and having done thousands of healings on friends, family members, strangers, referrals, my other teachers, it's helped me really get good at being objective when I work on somebody, because I'm not attached to their outcome. Do I want each and every person I work on to get healthier, happier, to get the result that they're either paying me for or the service that I'm doing for them? Do I want them to move their lives forward? Absolutely. Am I overly attached to that outcome? Not so much, because if a healer is attached to the outcome, guess what? Instead of the healing energy going to the person getting the healing energy will just come back to the healer, right? Because if the healer's like, I need this person to heal, I need them to get better, are they getting better? Are they getting better? Are they getting better? And the energy moves from the person getting the healing, goes back to the healer. Let's see, namaste. Jesus is the only way. Thank you for your feedback. I appreciate it. Would you believe that Jesus is the conduit for healing energy, right? Raising the dead, healing the sick, healing the blind, right? Jesus was the great healer. So thank you for the comment. So as we're doing this conversation 2.5 years ago with my brother, and I said, okay, how can I help him transform, knowing the technologies that I know, the experiences that I've had, the results that I was able to produce. He was God. Is that past tense? Able to produce, right? It is. Okay, got it. There we go. I was just clarifying. And so I went into my not bag of tricks, but my toolbox, as it were, as a healer, to help him move his life forward. So when he was here for the 2 weeks, 2.5 years ago, we did some coaching, gave him some understanding on why maybe this area or that area, this area wasn't moving forward for him, why he wasn't making progress. And then we did healing around those things, right? So you give coaching and understanding, you help somebody have the mental understanding of what's happening. Then you do some healing. You remove the negative thoughts, the negative emotions, the negative energies, preventing the person from moving forward. And then you supply a little bit of energy or prana, positive stuff, right? Enthusiasm, inspiration, gratitude, whatever. And then it's like the perfect storm of the mental understanding, less negative energies, and greater positive energies. He's able to move forward. Speed up and namaste, right? So because of that, he went back to where he lives in another state on the mainland, and about 6 to 7 months later, his entire life transformed. And now fast forward 2.5 years later, here in the present tense, every part of his life has improved. And it's been the best it's ever been his entire life. So all the 30 plus years of suffering, anguish, not moving forward, not progressing, after spending 2 weeks with his little brother, and because of the coaching we did, the healings that we did, the follow-ups that we did, his entire life transformed. So last night, right, he just got into town. Last night, we had another super long conversation that lasted about 8 hours, that went till 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning. And I realized that's the job, that's the dynamic that him and I have with one another, is helping him move his life forward. Because again, I'm not his little brother anymore. The little brother that he knew 20 plus years ago doesn't exist, right? That person became a healer, became a meditation teacher, became someone who helps other people transform. Not because I'm this great, super developed being, it's because I use the teachings and technologies of a great teacher that have consistently produced results in my life and then the lives of the people that I worked in. So you might not think, well, wait a minute, your family's listening to you. It might be more challenging if you have a family member who is in trouble, who is suffering, who needs help, that you are too close and too entangled to see the situation objectively, or for them to see you objectively, like I have the dynamic with my brother. Because maybe if my brother and I were spending the past 20 years with one another, day in and day out, week in and week out, and I said, hey, I know this healing modality that can help you. I know this meditation practice that could help you. Oh, I have some coaching skills that might be able to help you. Maybe he wouldn't have been that receptive. But the funny thing is, I've been doing personal development and spiritual development work for even longer than 20 years. So even as a young kid, I was reading the books, attending the classes, traveling around the state that I grew up in, looking for spiritual teachings, right? I was a seeker my entire life. Even then, he wasn't listening to me. Why? Because I didn't have any fruit. Does that make sense? So I was not an example of the teachings of happiness and joy and non-judgment and forgiveness, right? So he wasn't going to listen to me. I didn't have any fruit, right? Because I was still in the process of kind of tilling my garden, uprooting some of the weeds, planting some good seeds, and then it would take time for those seeds to produce fruit and say, ta-da, these are the results of my life. But I think that's kind of the lucky time that I wasn't, how do I put it? Because we didn't spend time with each other for 20 years, it gave him the opportunity to be more objective, more humble, and more open to whatever it is that him and I were going to be working on. And so our 8-hour conversation yesterday was super intense. And you ever like get in the flow? I remember talking with a mentor of mine about this probably 19 years ago. You ever get into a space, you could be working out, like running or cycling, you could be lifting in the gym, you could be going on a nice walk on the beach or in a beautiful park in your neighborhood, and you kind of like lose track of time. Like there's like a timelessness, there's a stillness, there's an expansion, there's like this experience of bliss, right? Some people call it being in the zone, some people call it peak performance, some people call it being in the flow. And my mentor, I was sharing some of my flow experiences at that time in my life. And I said, what's really happening on an energetic level and on a soul level? And he goes, well, when you're in that state of flow, what's happening? You have a stronger connection to your higher self. And then the energy from the higher self pours through the incarnated self, the lower self, the mental body, emotional body, and physical body. And you feel connected. You feel like you're in a state of flow. And I was like, that would make a lot of sense. So last night, as him and I were talking for not 1 hour, not 2 hours, not 3 hours, but 8 hours, the entire time there was a state of flow. Like I was coming up with metaphors, analogies, comparisons, teachings that reached him in a very deep and profound way that I don't take credit for, because some of those things I've never even thought of in my own life. But as we are connected, right, as I have a stronger connection to my higher soul, more energy can pour down into me. And then guess what? As I teach and share, that energy is flowing through me. So it's more inspired energies and more inspired teachings. So I'm looking forward to seeing where my brother progresses over the next 6 to 12 months after his time here. Because we did some coaching, we got some understanding. He actually started practicing some of that this morning, because everyone in my life, whether you're a client or not, gets a homework assignment. And if you choose to do the homework assignment, great. If you choose not to do the homework assignment, that's okay too, right? So he did his homework assignment this morning, and he, when I got out of bed, because he got up before I did, probably because of jet lag, I don't know. So he got up before I did and he handed me the homework that he had accomplished. And he goes, what do you think? And I go, that's pretty good. And then he already started noticing the benefits of what we talked about last night. Already. And I'm like, well, now you're proving to yourself, meaning to him, that if you follow the simple instructions, you'll get the result. If you don't overcomplicate and don't overthink, if you just follow the simple instructions that him and I talked about last night, you'll get the result. And so he's already seeing fruits to the seeds that were planted last night, which I'm very, very grateful for. And then, over the next 2 weeks that I'll be here, we'll also do some healing, right? We'll remove, like we talked about a minute ago, we'll remove the negative thoughts, the negative emotions, the negative energies, the congested energies, the stressed energies, anything that is currently blocking him from moving, instead of all areas of his life forward, we're going to work on just 1 or 2 areas of his life and to make our time productive with each other. So, can you heal family? Yes. Can you coach family? Yes. It just requires a little bit more nuanced attention to detail and maybe, a period of separation at some point. But in the cases that you have friends or family members who may not be open and receptive to coaching or healing, and maybe you even have the skill set, you're like, I know how to help so-and-so. Like my brother has a business, and it's like, I run successful businesses. I know how to help him have a more successful business, but he's not going to listen to me. In those cases, you might need to have some outside eyes, some third-party people come in. Maybe you recommend that. So for instance, if my brother wasn't receptive to receiving healing from me, I have a Rolodex of healers around the world that I can contact, that I trust, that are reliable, and I can say, hey, can you do healing on my brother? Right? He would have to pay for it. That's the benefit of having a brother or a relative that's a healer, right? You don't have to pay for healing. You just get the healing. So anyways, that was my little experience that I thought some of you who watched the replay on this might appreciate. For those of you who know me, you know the dynamic with my family, and I'm always looking to help people, heal people, transform people. I don't succeed all the time. I make mistakes all the time. I'm not perfect. I'm in the process of becoming better every single day. And then by the time I leave this incarnation, I can, say with humility and gratitude, good job, self. You use this incarnation for goodwill and the will to do good. Not perfect, but you did a good job. You tried your best. Okay, and then leave the body. So on that note, lots of love to each of you guys. If you got value from this, or you know a friend or family member that is having challenges with a friend or family member, hey, maybe they'll listen to this and get value from it. And I look forward to serving you guys moving forward. Catch us tomorrow around the same time. I try to do it between 2 and 3 p.m. Hawaii time. 2 to 3 p.m. Hawaii time, which would be 8 or 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if that helps. So on that note, this is Christian Long with the Inner Transformation Group, wishing you a beautiful day, a beautiful week, and a beautiful life. Atma Namaste. Bye-bye.